So, Alhamdulillah, I've learned a lot since breaking into the remote sales space. And Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, I've done very well. I've helped a lot of brothers and seen real success, close over 100K in closed deals for my own agency after mastering the skill of appointment setting. But if I'm being honest with you, there are things that I would have done differently had I started out again. And this is something that I want to share with you today because I've learned lots since coming into the space by networking, by seizing or learning opportunities, by doing practicality, by bouncing off others and looking at their own success as well. So this isn't theory. This is motivational talk, but also showing you the true steps that one should take if he's first starting out in his journey. And it's going to be very in depth. So please stay till the end. Otherwise, you're going to regret. Because these lessons, these mistakes and shortcuts is something I wish I could have got when I first started. So if you're thinking about getting into high ticket sales, or appointment setting, closing, or you're just starting out, this will save you months of trial and error, inshallah. So first and foremost, let's go through the first thing. 20% of activities actually secure 80% of the results. And the problem here is that we focus on things that are sometimes not as useful as you'd want. They're not as impactful. So there's something that I call company intelligence gathering. And we start off with a platform called Facebook. Facebook has an ads library. So what you want to do is first and foremost, this 3-step formula of how you can identify a good paying role and a high level agency who's turning over a lot of money. Maybe they're doing 6 to 7 figures. All right. So this is what we call the company intelligence gathering part. And this is the first phase. A lot of Muslim brothers, they just go straight into roles. They start doing some outreach. They bounce off certain people and rely on things that will give them 2 to 3% of chances of securing that first role. So reverse search agencies, sorry. Now, if you go into Facebook ads library, you will find companies who are spending 5 to 10K on paid ads. What does that even mean? What does that entail? How does that help you? Well, think about it like this. This is proof of solid revenue being generated by those companies because they're spending a lot of money on ads, and those ads are going to produce results. Those ads are going to bring clients, right? So this is proof of solid revenue. And instead of just searching and applying, right, we want to do something a little bit better. We want to take on a more elaborate approach so we make sure that we hit the nail on the head on the agencies that we actually want to work for. So what do I mean by this? Finding roles, this is a targeted route. Facebook library, you search these companies and more or less you go into listing 10 companies and then you break those 10 companies in a single manner and you do research on them. If you have to book a call with them and just cancel it, but then you get to see their entire sales process. So it doesn't matter if you cancel it. So you get to see their pricing structures. You get to see their assets that they use to warm you up. You get to see their follow-up sequence, and even sometimes even the email sequence, in the way they nurture their clients, in the way their ecosystem runs in their sales process, right? So you're gonna do a sales audit, and you're gonna make sure you're gonna select a company that aligns with you, what you're looking for. Because what you got to understand is when you're getting them, when you're looking at their values, you're looking at their mission, you're looking at their results, what you're doing is you're bringing conviction to yourself. Because if you work for them, you end up getting a role with them. You have full conviction. That brings trust and value. And trust and value is the most important thing for any person that wants to buy a program. So if you do a proper audit of them and you select the right agency that you want to work for, that brings confidence, right? That needs to be there for their product. Because it's just like selling a product of your own. You have full passion for it, right? So that will be seeping through your conversations, how passionate and how much you believe in that product. Now, when it comes to a sales process audit, what you need to be doing is you get a loom. You go through the entire funnel and you more or less see what challenges that you can solve for them. You position yourself as someone who understands their business and not just after a job. or even compare them to their competitors and show how those competitors are doing something better than them, or even vice versa, to show how much you want to work for them. But I would show that there's competitors out there who are doing things that are slightly different. Perhaps they should consider it, right? So once you've done that, you've gathered a nice picture and you've gathered a lot of research, you've gathered a lot of intelligence. Now you go out there and you apply to roles and you want to do a follow up sequence, right? Meaning you don't just want to leave it there and just be the typical person who just goes out and tries to apply for a job. You want to be persistent. And persistence, it beats perfection, but only with strategy. Okay. So what you want to be doing is your application should be filled with a value add analysis, meaning the sales process audit that you did earlier on, you're going to include that in your application. Think about how much you would stand out above so many others. That is the difference. That's just one part of the sequence. One part of the sequence, which can be a big needle pusher as to you getting an 80% chance of response or 90% chance of response, as opposed to the people who are in the position of getting a chance of 2 to 3% in terms of a response. Right? You can contact their sales team wherever you can, whatever platform that you can find them on. You can send a case study of a similar company who is doing a little bit better than them, or you could even directly call them or email someone in the team asking for the next steps. This is being persistent, but this is being persistent with a proper strategy. So that is what we call funnel hacking. Everything that I've just gone through right now is funnel hacking. And the best way to do it is to do your research, find these companies on Facebook, and do exactly that. So take notes and start implementing. And a little thing here, which says here, one thing that you want to take away from this is that resources won't just cut it. You learning on YouTube, taking free knowledge, we don't want to be consumers. We want to produce. We want to take that consumption and turn it into production. And the best way to start making money and learning and understanding sales is to get in a role. That's where the real learning comes. You could sit here on hours on end, consuming content, but that's not going to get anywhere until you really start doing the reps. As we were saying, persistence beats perfection, but only with strategy. Now, the three-step and three-phase interview strategy. Number one, quiet confidence. Now, when you go into an interview, right, everyone has this fear factor. I don't have experience, this belief, this doubt, these emotions that they can't control, which I get it. It's fine. It happens. But what you got to understand is if you don't have no work history, you can focus on life experiences or work experiences that have demonstrated quiet confidence. Example, how have you approached problems and how have you solved those problems in real life? What stories can you actually share? How does that paint a picture about you? Right? Number two, business understanding. What you need to do here is research the company. If you're going into an interview and you're going to look like an idiot if you don't know much about the company and about their market and about the industry in which they're operating, what challenges do their prospects have? Usually, it shows that you're forward thinking, that you already have a grasp of the prospects that you'd be really interacting with. How does their solution differ from others? Right? Do research. Don't be lazy, because this helps you stand out. If you come up against someone who has experience, but he doesn't have a lot of knowledge around the business, he's just coming thinking, I've got my experience, I've got my metrics, I've got my stats, they'll employ me. But he doesn't know much about the company. See, that person, he hasn't prepared well. He's not serious. He's just in it for the money. They want people, of course, they want people who are hungry to make money. Of course. It's a performance-based role. But that's just not it. That's more to do with them. That's selfish. You want to show that you're selfless, that you don't care about the company, the direction they're heading into, their market, understanding them, and obviously making money at the same time, right? Number three, coachable demonstration. This is what many people fail, because they're going into an interview and they're treating it like some interrogation. They're sitting back, they're treating it like some 9-to-5 corporate job where I need to, prove myself by literally answering and talking their language. And sometimes you're trying to qualify them as much as they're trying to qualify you. But in this particular way, where we show coachable demonstration, it shows that you're not just caring about the money. You're asking really tactical questions about the role, and that shows you that you're serious for growth and that you're coachable. That you're serious about long-term growth, about with their company, not just securing a job so you can make good money, right? So, as you can see, there's some real good questions that you can ask, and you can see how that actually connects with what I've just said about growth. So you're forward thinking. You're showing them that I want to come in and I want to grow. That's what's on my mind. I am coachable, right? How did the top setter become the top setter? You want to know how the top setter actually got to where he got to, so you can more or less follow that same formula. You're already thinking about that, as opposed to coming in and then learning from the top setter. You already know, so you already want to know, so you can prep yourself mentally for what to expect and how to become the top at the agency. What's the challenge the sales team is facing? That shows that you're a problem solver. That shows that you want to come in, not just make money, but you want to help them tackle and resolve their issues. It might be we have a problem with the show rate. We have a problem with tracking data. You could prepare and make sure that you hit the ground running by understanding these things about their business. Do I have the ability to work weekends? Now, everyone loves that because that just means that you're stable, number one. Number two, you really want to run with the industry. Number three, you really want to give them time. Number four, you understand the volume and reps that you need to do. You understand the true reality of a setting job where sometimes you have to put in the hours. Now, it's not that every question is going to lead to yes. Some of them might say no, but it shows what? That you're hungry and you have the desire and you have the work ethic. So what's the takeaway? Interviews are conversations. They're conversations. Treat it like genuine conversations. You're having a conversation with your friend. You're having a conversation with your brother. You're having a conversation with a business owner. It doesn't matter. Treat it like a normal conversation, not like interrogation. And the ones who ask the most questions are more in a chance to land that role. It's as simple as that. It shows that you have a sense of a hunger. You have a sense of awareness. And you have a sense of, I want to learn. Yeah. It just paints the right pictures. It's the right connotations of someone who wants to come in, wants to perform, and wants to just literally run with the industry. So remember that, brothers. Next, metrics. Now, why are metrics important? Why do you think metrics are important? This is something that I failed to do when I came into remote sales, something I didn't do. You can see some metrics on the side just to show you the typical metrics, or the ones that really, really have a lot of power. The ones that resonate the most with setters are the show rate, who shows up to the actual call that you book in, how 1 to 1 in 7 call to set, how many calls taken to eventually set the first call. So you've done 30 calls in a day, right? When was that first call booked? Was it after the 5th call, the 6th call, the 7th call? We want to reduce that, make it 1 in 3, for example. But we'll never truly know that unless we account for ourselves. Accountability is one of the key traits of a setter. Someone who's observant, someone who's accountable, someone who wants to rectify himself continuously. The close rate. How many closed deals were closed from the sets that you did? Yeah. And why metrics matter from day one. Data-driven habits separate top performers, right? When you track key KPIs from the start, you build self-awareness and you accelerate your learning curve very rapidly. And of course, there are some other essential KPIs to monitor as well. How many dials have you done per day? And normally, if you're in a company that has a good infrastructure, a good sales process, they track the data, they will get you to fill out EOD. So just make sure it's very, very accurate, right? It's the best way to seek the true reality of where you currently are. KPIs. Data is a way to grow. It's a way to observe where you are currently, what you're currently producing, and basically working off that and making sure that you're getting better, right? Metrics will tell you a proper story. They show whether you're progressing, whether you're falling, whether you're playing yourself. The top setters operate like proper athletes. They track everything. They optimize fast. They don't take failure personally. They don't take this data emotionally. Rather, they take the data as an opportunity, right? They take it as real data, as opportunity. And of course, you can see other metrics here as well. All right. Quality conversations, speed to lead, response times, and follow up consistency. And you can use simple tools like spreadsheets and CRM dashboards to monitor progress daily. All right. Or you simply have a manager that accounts for you, and you fill in that you fill out EOD, and you have these weekly meetings with your managers to review yourself and see where you are, what's your goals for the next week or month. Call it a feedback loop. Now, before we get into the last thing, which is not probably, but the most important thing in sales, right? I want to leave you wondering for a second. You are getting paid to be resilient. You're getting paid to be strong, impenetrable, disciplined. You're getting paid to maintain yourself and have that mental focus and not give up and be very proactive and not be someone who's emotional through rejection or through bad results, right? And where does that lead us to? That leads us to the mindset, the foundation, okay? So, internal state determines the external results. Your internal state, right? Your brain, your body, whatever you want to call it internally, that determines the external results. That determines the consistency in those external results. So, embrace rejection. Remote sales has natural ups and downs. It's a performance-based role. Sometimes marketing can fluctuate. Sometimes the need flow can fluctuate. Sometimes people are not turning up to calls. You put the blame on you. Why is that not happening? And sometimes when you have rejection in interviews or whatnot, it does not really matter. It's not personal failure. It's a means to grow. It's about how you let that affect you. Are you gonna be like, oh, it's the end of the world? I don't have any more options. This is not working for me. Are you gonna be the person that says, okay, it's just one out of the way. I learned something from it. What can I take away from it? How can I improve myself for next time? Okay. Persistence through the tough days separates the winners from the quitters. Secondly, cultivate self-discipline. Structure a day to avoid distractions. Eat well, sleep well, work out, remove personal life distractions, separate that from your personal life. Have a very good mental focus on your calls, right? Be very focused, be very attentive, focus on what's right in front of you. Don't be thinking about the money. Don't be thinking about the commission. Don't be thinking about closing deals. Think about the customer and the prospect and how you can serve them. Continuous learning. Be obsessed and seize every opportunity to learn. That's part of accounting for yourself and being coachable, right? You seize every opportunity to grow. You take the data, you use that as feedback. You learn from others. You learn from other setters. If you were to go to a top agency that's doing 6-7 figures or 5 figures, if you go into the company, the setters there, they're doing well. They've employed you because they see you as a good fit. So what are you going to do? You're going to learn from them. You're going to observe and mimic. You're going to bounce off them. You're going to get them to compliment you because you're going to learn from them and review their calls, review the way they organize their day, even speak to them and work as a team so you can get yourself on the same level as them. Now, lastly, the most important thing when it comes to the mindset, right? What is that? That's the intention. What's the long-term vision for sales? Where do you want sales to take you to? What's your why? The bigger the why, the easier the how. Now, for example, if I want to make lots of wealth, generate lots of wealth, I want to make 10K a month or 15K a month as a setter as a closer or a setter, whatever figure it is. Why do you want that? It's not just financial freedom. It's much more than that. Because if you're doing it for the deen, if you're doing it for family, if you want to retire your parents, if you want to move to a Muslim country, if you want more time to go closer to Allah, if you want, to be able to contribute to more charitable projects, then every day that you wake up and you know why you're doing this, it's something bigger than yourself. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than you. It's more than you. It's something that's deep and it's a strong why. So if you have that behind you, then you know that this sales vehicle, where it's taking you to, where they have the end goal in mind. The successful people have the end goal in mind. So if you have the end goal in mind, then everything else will be easier. The workload will not be heavy because the intention is strong. So the how to get there is going to be easy, right? And that's why it's so important to establish the intention. Not someone who just wants to make money, as someone who just wants to become financially free so they don't need to worry about their bills. That's a small intention. That's not big enough. So the takeaway here is skills can be taught, but the mindset must be cultivated. Because the skill, it can be taught through a mentorship program, or even if you self develop yourself, it doesn't really matter. Invest in your mental game as much as your sales technique. Because, like I said, the internal state determines the external results. The more you maintain that, the more you're consistent with that, and the more you have a strong, thick-skinned mindset, then inshallah ta'ala, there's no reason why you won't succeed by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the summary here is, as you can see, just to quickly summarize, apply smartly, be selective and strategic with the applications with using funnel hacking, master the 3-phase interview strategy so you can stand out, show awareness and really grow, track the metrics so you can account for yourself, so you can do daily improvements, so you can level up every single week or every single day, right? And use the data as a means for growth. Build the right mindset, because if you don't have the right mindset, the other 3 won't even matter, right? Alhamdulillah. So I really hope you brothers benefited, and if you found this valuable, take it, implement it, grow with it, inshallah ta'ala. If you really love the video, please like, comment and subscribe. We've got some free resources underneath, but most importantly, if you're someone who wants proper guidance, support and accountability to fast track your journey, then inshallah ta'ala, check the links below where you can apply for our guided mentorship, remoterisk.co, Remote Risk Elite, where we train, coach, help you in every step of the way, give you full guidance, accountability, mock sessions, interview prep, help you, give you jobs at your disposal so you can land those roles. So if there's brothers who don't want to really figure everything out alone, then you know what to do. Inshallah, I'll see you on the other side, and I'll see you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.